Open Tobias Harris, and Tobias drills it! Sixers up one!
Embiid fakes, Embiid down the lane!
What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the Pixar Media YouTube channel. My name is Barnard, as always, and today I'm excited to break down a prospect that I'm hyped up about, that being Bobi Klintman. This is a guy who's a little bit one of the more mysteries of this year's draft. Played most recently overseas in the NBL. He is a guy who previously played for Wake Forest. He also tested the NBA draft waters last year. I became a huge fan of his game during that period of time and do think he's taken some strides forward at the professional level. So excited to dive into what he brings to the table. We're going to take a little bit of a look at his stats here, both in college at the international level, and then dive into some film to break down what exactly we're seeing into his game here. So I want to start off by looking at his college stats. As I mentioned, just 1 year that he spent at Wake Forest here. Played in 33 games, started 5 of them, 20.5 minutes per game, 5.3 points, 4.5 rebounds, 0.8 assists, 0.5 steals, 0.6 blocks. Not a guy that got a lot of action. He was very raw in his freshman year. He did shoot 36.8% from three on 2.3 3-point attempts per game, but just 40.7% from the field overall. That's certainly a number that you want higher. 44.6% on shooting on two-pointers is not good enough. That's something that you do want higher. But what the appeal always was with this guy is he is toolsy. He's young. He's got an intriguing characteristics, the stuff that you can't teach. We're talking about him measuring in at 6'10". He's 21 years old at this point, a 7-foot wingspan. He's long. He's athletic. He's really fun to watch. So I also want to take a look at his international stats before we pull up some of the film here and to dive into what he did at the NBL. Spent this season with Cairns, played 21.3 minutes per game, 9.7 points, 4.8 rebounds, 0.7 assists, 0.8 steals, 0.5 blocks. I would like to see the stocks get a little higher there, both the steals and blocks. He's got hands that should be more active than they are. But once again, showing a little bit of something from beyond the three-point arc. 35.7% on 3.5 three-point attempts per game. 44.3% from the field overall. A little bit of an efficiency improvement that we did see. Still has a little bit of ways to go in that category, but at least he is showing some signs of progress there. So I did want to dive into some of the stats side of things here. Now I'm going to pull up a little bit of his game film, and then we can dive into what he is bringing to the table, kind of talk about things through it here. So here we go. Got these pulled up. And the number one thing that's going to stand up is exactly what I said, that the raw athleticism, the body that he does have is stuff that you cannot teach. That I think he is one of these toolsy, intriguing athletic talents. I think there's a lot more to unpack in his game that we have yet to see. And I think there's a real chance where it happens at the NBA level. That he is very raw. He's still got a ways to go. But the flashes like that shot right here, I'm not going to brush past this one. Look at this little snatch back between the legs and hit a three in this guy's face. That is right, like that is high level stuff right there. And I get it, like this game's over when you take the context of things, that this was a last second shot, whatever. But the fact that he is capable of doing those types of things is really intriguing to me. I think there's a lot of ways in which he can carve out a lane for himself as an NBA player, which is specifically what jumps out. Like this block here that come from behind, that's really impressive stuff. That specifically is probably the number one area that I will point to as where I want to see improvement. He has all the tools to be a high level defender, but has yet to fully put it together. And there's another nice flash of him getting in a passing lane. See him going coast to coast there. Let's run that one back one more time. I love this. This is the stuff that would make him beyond just a high-level role player, probably something even a little more to that. That he made the right rotation, used his 7-foot wingspan, took the ball, and went coast to coast himself. He's very capable of being kind of one of these grab-and-go guys that can play in transition. The guy that this is a high ceiling I'm kind of throwing at him because this dude has popped in my mind this year. But Bilal Coulibaly, who was drafted last year, is a guy that I see a lot of the same skills in. Now, Bobi, I believe, is older than him and has not progressed at the rate that we're seeing from a guy like that. But Ousmane Dieng's another name that I'll throw out there that I see some similarities in the way that they are built, the way the characteristics of their game. You're taking a risk that he has enough raw talent enough size, enough athleticism that he can eventually put enough together to be a successful rotation player. And I frankly definitely think that's going to be the case. That I think Bobi Klintman is going to be a guy that when this draft is revisited a couple years down the line, you're kind of surprised at how far down the list that he did fall. Most of the projections I've read are very late first round, even some second round for where he will actually see his name called. I think he should be in play in kind of the teens and even potentially late lottery. That I don't think there's much of a gap from a lot of these guys that we've broken down. And the raw athletic skills, the just frame that he possesses is so intriguing to me. And that's, again, the stuff that you cannot teach. You can teach guys to shoot. You can teach guys to dribble, can teach guys to defend. You cannot teach a guy to be 6'10" with a 7-foot wingspan who moves like this dude moves. So that's a big part of my selling point here. And I mentioned back in the Wake Forest days, I know he did not pop or really receive that much of an opportunity, but there was always something there in his game. And again, I think there's much more to unpack. Nice little cut here, and this is another good flash that if he can be effective as an off-ball mover, that's another way where there's absolutely a lane for him. Look at the way that he spins off, plays off his teammate. Look at how he's starting up here at the top. Cuts down and a nice slam there. That's a difficult finish, too. That is not an easy free layup by any means. That's something where he is slamming on a guy, and he is pretty content or would prefer, it seems, to go up and dunk it, which is a characteristic that I love and does not apply to enough people. And a little bit of swag on the hang on the rim and come down there. I love that as well. He does play with a nice level of passion. Look at that little hang on the rim. And by the way, when talking about how high he is, this man's legs are basically touching the ground as he's hanging on the rim here. So shout out to Bobi for that. In addition, the three-point shooting is stuff that has become such a make or break swing skill for guys and likely will be the case for Klintman. He won't be an exception to it. I don't think there's anything that needs to be touched up mechanically a ton with this game. It's going to be stuff with repetition that we see more of. It's not perfect, the shot form, or really how I feel about it overall, but there's signs of success at both levels, both in college. 36.8% is absolutely fine. And that's on somewhat decent of a sample size. He attempted 76 3-pointers in 33 games. That comes out to 2.3 3-pointers a game. You live with that. That's fine there. And then once again, at the professional level, he's attempting more. Now, I do not want to brush over this play here. Take a look at this little pocket pass. This is something that I'm not super optimistic he can become like a secondary creator. But look at the way that he's able to just slot this back door. That's a tough advanced pass. That's a guy that has some sort of basketball feel beyond what a lot of these guys were discussing. That this isn't just a dude that, is all toolsy and everything. Like, he looks like a basketball player, that he's content. He can beat guys off the closeout. Look at this one. This is another opportunity in which he sees the hard close. He looks like a basketball player. Like, this isn't a dude that's just an athlete. Look at him, controlled under, dishes to the big man, and creates a dunk for his teammate. That's really good stuff. That's exactly what you're hoping for in that situation, in that context of basketball. That's just the absolute right read, and I love to see it from him. And again, he is not polished, but he's a versatile two-way wing with a skill set and a frame that will absolutely thrive at the NBA level. To kind of speak on some of the downsides of his game, he is still a very wiry frame. He could use to put on some weight. Getting stronger would aid in his versatility on defense. I've seen a lot of people with the desire that he can become like a small ball 5. I don't see that. I don't like that outlook. I don't think that's best for him. That in my eyes, this is a guy that you should be teaching as a jumbo-sized wing, a guy that is switchable, can guard positions 1 through 4, maybe even in the 5 in a pinch. But I don't think you should be trying to coach him into being a small ball 5. I think you should be content with him as a high-level wing. Like, that is, to me, what he screams every time I watch him. But I've seen a lot of criticism and people saying that. The lateral quickness is something that he could use to be a little bit better. I don't think he's an excellent screen navigator or a guy that can get around those. He also struggles to kind of turn the corner on drives. He doesn't quite have that electric first step. Like, I would say his athleticism he's much more of a smooth athlete, much more of a guy who, is like pops from the size standpoint, but not a guy that will jump off the page. He will get up there and dunk it, but he doesn't have that like burst and transition in a way that some of these other guys do. Still far above. I would even go as far as to say probably above NBA athlete or NBA range there, but not a guy that's going to be a defining trait is sort of where I'm going that direction. I'm reading through a couple more of the critiques from a couple of different articles here. Inconsistent as a perimeter scorer. He'd benefit from diversifying his offensive portfolio, improving at the rim and in his mid-range game. I just think that's like a little bit harsh on him. That I think like it's interesting when you see these pathways these guys take, right? Like when you go to college, that a lot of situations are built around that player, that you're doing your best to maximize that player, give him the best opportunity, make him look the best. Then when you get into the professional setting, everything's out the door with that. That you have to find a way to fit into the team, which is obviously trying to win. And here's a nice little look at his 3-point shot here. We'll rewind this one. Like, I love the release point, love how high it is. I don't have fear that this is a fake jump shot. And sure, you can maybe critique he takes a little bit long to load. It does work out in his favor here as he gets fouled on the closeout, a very reckless closeout there. But that to me is a perfectly fine, perfectly adequate, a jump shot that will translate to the NBA level. Let's look at it one more time here. One more swing to the corner, load, finish. So obviously in the best of circumstances that he doesn't have to quite take that dip down and then up, but it's very rare that it's the case. So I'm pretty satisfied with this jumping form here. And here's a little zoom up. Yeah. And when you're 6'10", you're going to be able to shoot over guys like that. Like the guy rotating out there, pretty good size there. I would guess that Bobi is still bigger than him. So love that in his game. Do love the athleticism that he brings. He is a bit of a lottery ticket guy. There's no doubt about it. But look at the confidence taking this one. That is not a layup open three-pointer. That's shooting over somebody, and he's throwing the arrow at the end. Shout out Daniel House. So love that. Look at that. Spins to him. He's a couple feet beyond the three-point arc, hits it in stride, and lets the arrow fly. That's real deal shooter stuff right there. And I get it. Like, it's going to have to happen with more volume. In general, guys just get better as shooters when they get to the NBA. When you're living the NBA lifestyle, when you're playing basketball so many minutes, so many hours every single day, that you're going to get better as a shooter. I am willing to bet that Bobi Klintman is a guy that we see that with. So ultimately, I love this guy. He's way higher on my list than I've seen from pretty much any outlet. That I loved him the first time he dipped his feet into the NBA draft waters. He was a dude that I had circled. He's a guy that I certainly would not mind ending up on the Sixers if that is what the decision is made. But as a whole, I think any team that he goes to is going to benefit from him. That I think there's enough diversity in his game. There's enough ways that he manages to impact game. There's enough of a motor that just the stuff that I'm looking for on the type of prospect that I think is worth taking an upside swing, Bobi Klintman has all of them. So I will be rooting for this dude no matter where he lands, assuming it's not in a hated location there. But I do love like everything that he brings to the floor. I do really feel that when this draft is revisited, that Bobi Klintman is going to be a guy that we say, how did we let him fall all the way down that board? That dude is a high level, just role player, impact, versatile wing. That's what I expect from him. He may never be this, $40 million man or max contract guy or anything like that, but I do think that he will be cut from this mold of players who's becoming more and more important. The true 3-and-D versatile wings that can guard positions 1 through 4. That's exactly what I see him shaping to be as a professional and at the NBA level. And just take a look at this last play here before we wrap up. Look at the effort level running the floor. Look at him beating guys down. And here we see, so we gets the rebound. They're out. Look at Bobi Klintman starting all the way back here, beating guys, and then finishes with the slam. That motor, you can't teach that either. That's really good stuff. I just really like this kid. I really think this is a dude that people are sleeping on in this draft. I absolutely think he's worth a flyer anywhere from maybe draft pick, even like the 12th pick on, that type of range. I would not be shocked if there is a team that goes and reaches for Bobi Klintman that says, with the 10th overall pick, we're taking a shot at this guy because we believe he could be that good, and they might end up being right about it because I do really like this. I'm confused with the lack of buzz that he is getting. I get that he's 21. I get that he's not probably the highest ceiling, although there certainly can make an argument that ceiling is pretty up there with him. I think there's honestly a chance that he ends up even better than I'm leading on here, that he could even grow into sort of the Mikal Bridges type of archetype of player. That might be a little strong or a little bit of a high bar to set, but I don't think the gap from that is that outlandish to think. So, but between him possessing these skills to be a complimentary guy, and by that I mean with the off-ball cutting, with the defensive potential, with the ability to impact the game without having the ball in his hands, and couple that with a little bit of shooting potential, the motor that he plays with, the ability to play make a little bit, the ability to play in transition, he does seem like a pretty complete package to me. So I'm in on Bobi Klintman. I will be rooting for him at the NBA level. I think he's going to be a guy who outperforms his draft slot by a pretty significant margin, and I cannot wait to see what team that he does land on. So let me know if you're on the same page as me. Are you buying as much Bobi Klintman stock as I am? Because I'm all in and loading up. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Give me your predictions where he ends up or what teams would be the best for him. Anything else that you got in your mind. So appreciate you guys for tuning into this video here. Make sure you smash the subscribe on this channel right here on Pick Swap Media. Stay posted for all the other draft prospect breakdowns that we do have going out. We'll be popping out as many as possible up until the NBA draft. It is exciting times right now, so I appreciate you guys going on the journey with me. Let me talk with you next time right here on Pick Swap Media.